It's time to go to school. Hey, welcome to House Parties. We're so pumped that you guys are here. We're pumped to just kick off our year. So sit back, grab a seat, grab a cookie, grab a bag of chips, relax. We're gonna dive in because what house parties are all about, they're all about hanging out, building relationships, and talking about what does life look like as we follow Jesus. So we're gonna dive in. This past week, we kicked off a series for our month called This Is My Campus. And we talked about, man, what is it gonna look like for us, for you guys as students to take ownership of where God has you to be a life for Jesus. Because listen, you are in school for a reason. Yeah, for education, yeah, to learn and grow, but God has you there for a reason and for a purpose. And honestly, we talked a little bit about how at Chaos, we have a mission. We have a reason that we exist. And God has us right here in Camden County in the year 2022, and you are a part of it for a reason and for a purpose. Our mission at Chaos is to flip the spiritual climate of Camden County schools. We want to see students come to know Jesus. We want to lead disconnected and unfulfilled students to find a full life in Jesus. That's why we are here. That is the mission we are on. And here's the thing, we didn't come up with that mission. It's not something that we brilliantly thought up on our own. It comes straight from the Bible. It actually comes from Jesus. In Matthew 28, Jesus, it's called the Great Commission. Jesus gives his disciples, his followers, a command. He says, go into the world and make disciples. Go tell people who I am and what I've done. And that's our goal at Chaos. And that's what we want to do. So we're on a mission. But here's the thing. The mission is not just mine as a student pastor. The mission is not just your leaders, your volunteers. The mission is not just the older students. The mission is all of us, the staff, the leaders, the volunteers, and you as students. Listen, Chaos will not accomplish that mission of flipping the spiritual climate of our schools, of reaching more people for Jesus, of letting them know that there is a full life available to them. That will not happen without you guys as students taking ownership of where God has you. Because listen, he has you there for a reason. You were made for this moment, and this moment was made for you. Another way Jesus worded this was he said that we are to love God and then love other people. That's our mission in life. That is how we are gonna reach people for Jesus, by loving God and loving others. And when last week we looked at a story that Jesus said where he summed up what does it look like to love other people. And we looked at the story in Luke 10 of the Good Samaritan. Jesus told the story of the Good Samaritan like this. There was a guy on his way to another city. He was on the road and he got jumped. He got robbed, he got beat up, and he got left on the side of the road for dead. Then along came a priest walking down that same road. The priest, think of him like your lead pastor at our church. It's John, basically, but he's cooler than that. Comes walking down the road. He sees the man in need, and he actually goes to the other side and walks by. Doesn't care. Then we see, Jesus says, a Levite. That's like assistant pastor, assistant to the priest. He comes down. He sees the man in need, the guy dying on the side of the road. He doesn't care, crosses the other side, and keeps going. But then Jesus says, a Samaritan. So that's literally the enemy of the man who's on the side of the road. Sees the man in need, has compassion for him, and then steps in and does something for him. Jesus puts it like this in the verse in Luke 10. It says, but a Samaritan on his journey came up to him. And when he saw the man, he had compassion. And he went over to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on olive oil and wine. And then he put him on his own animal, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. That is our mission at Chaos. That's what we're supposed to do. That is what loving the people around us looks like. It looks like the story of the Good Samaritan. And that's what it'll look like when we say, man, this is my campus. And we take ownership of where God has us. It looks like the story of the Good Samaritan because again, you were made for this moment and this moment was made for you by God. Okay, so here's the question then. If we are on a mission and the mission looks like loving others, what does it actually look like for us at our schools, that here at Camden Middle, at St. Mary's Middle, at Camden County High School? What is it gonna look like to be a Good Samaritan? Well, that's what we're gonna talk about, and that's what we're gonna talk about this whole month. For us to be like the Good Samaritan, the first thing we have to do is we have to see other people. The Good Samaritan, it says he saw the man in need, and then he did something about it. Listen, it sounds super simple, like of course he saw him, the dude has eyes, he's not blind, he just looked up and saw him. But I think seeing people is actually a little bit more difficult than we might think. There are people all around us, in our classes, on our teams, in our hallways, and man, they are struggling. They feel unfulfilled and they feel disconnected. They feel alone, they feel like they don't have a purpose. But here's the thing, it's not always easy to see them. Because when we walk around and we say, hey man, how you doing today? What's the immediate answer we give? Good. And I would argue that like 85% of the time, that's just a straight up lie. People don't necessarily wear a sign on their back that just says, hey, I'm struggling. But here's the thing, again, I think even if people did wear a sign, I don't know that we would always see them. Sometimes it's really, really easy for us to get so wrapped up in our own world, so wrapped up in our own schedule, so wrapped up in what we have going on, so wrapped up in our own phone, in our own social media, everything like that that's going on in our life, that it's difficult for us to actually take a moment, look up, and see the people around us in need. Because there are people in need. There are people who just got broken up with. There's people whose family life is tough. There's people who are falling behind in school. There's people who didn't make the team. And man, they are desperate for someone to see them and to make them feel seen. I mean, for real, let's be honest. How many of us have walked into something because we're staring at our phone? I've done that a ton. It's kind of embarrassing, but I think it happens to us all. So for us to see people, we have to limit distractions. We have to put our phone down for a second. We have to look up and actually be aware of the people around us. Seeing people doesn't just mean I physically see them. Sure, it means I notice them. I'm aware of them. I have a concern for them. I see their needs. I see their concerns. And then on top of that, I go out of my way not just to physically see them, but to make them feel seen. When we say see them, we don't mean stare at someone awkwardly across the room. We mean notice them and then help them feel seen and noticed. Because here's the thing. This is my campus. We are trying to change the spiritual climate of our schools. And honestly, if we don't take the time to see people in need, I don't think anything will change at our schools. It'll just stay the same or get worse. So, can we say, this is my campus? Can we take ownership of where God has us, when He has us, this moment that was made for us and we were made for the moment? And can we purposely set the distractions down, look up, and see the people around us who are in need? Because there are a ton of them. Can we say, this is my campus, and I'm going to see the people who don't normally feel seen, and I'm going to make them feel seen and of value? Because I think if we do that, everything begins to change.